Hey, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Christy. I am sharing my testimony with you guys in hopes that you can see how God worked through my story and see how He's working in your story as well. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, go ahead and go back and watch that. I'm going to start off with part 2. So if you saw part 1, you saw that God was moving in my life before I was even born. And you also saw that God was moving in my parents' lives as well. So after I was born, my parents dove headfirst into serving the Lord. They served in their local church for years. And then eventually, my dad became an inner city pastor. So growing up, I regularly saw God moving in people's lives. I saw miracles happening all the time. My dad opened up a soup kitchen when I was probably 11 years old, and there were regularly times where we would not have enough food to feed the lines of people that we had. And my dad would come back in the kitchen and he would pray over the food and he would say, "Don't look in the pot. We're going to have enough food. The Lord is going to provide." And let me tell you, every single time we had more than enough food to feed these people. And not only feed the people, we fed the volunteers, and we also ate a lot of food there as well. I can't tell you how many times we had spaghetti or Kentucky Fried Chicken, because Kentucky Fried Chicken always donated their leftover chicken to the soup kitchen. Just a random fact. But it took me many years to be able to eat KFC again, let me tell you. But after he opened the soup kitchen, we were noticing that there were many of these people who had nowhere to stay. There were many unhoused people coming and getting served food there, but then they had nowhere to go after. So what did my dad do? He brought them to our house. He would bring in these addicts, these men that he knew wanted to get their lives right with the Lord. So he would bring them in. We set up a room for them in our basement. They would get clean. They would start learning about the Lord. They would get jobs. Then they would get apartments and they'd move out. And we did this so often that we ran out of places to put people. So my dad had to open up a homeless shelter in the city that we lived in. So he had a men's homeless shelter. And then we started noticing, hey, there's these women and children who also have nowhere to go. And we would start bringing them home. There was one point where I met this girl. I don't know, she was probably in her 20s at that point. And meanwhile, I'm like 13, 14 years old here. And she was talking about how she had nowhere to go. And I was like, "Oh, well, you can just come stay at our house. My parents won't mind." And she looked at me like I was crazy, but my parents really didn't mind. She came and she stayed at our house. She got a job. She moved out. That was just the cycle of how things went. And it was just so amazing growing up in that environment, because I truly learned that God was always moving in people's lives. Everybody had a story, and everybody had a different story. But at the end of it, like in the heart of it, you could still see God moving in each of these situations. And it was just an amazing thing to watch. I kind of ended up like idealizing my dad in a way, because in my mind, he was as close to God as you could get. Like, he was doing all these amazing things for the Lord, and I wanted to be just like him. So if you've gotten this far, it kind of seems like everything's hunky-dory in my life. Like, everything's going great. I've got amazing Christian parents. I have 3 amazing sisters. Everything's fine, right? Until it all came crashing down the day before I turned 16. So, if you want to hear about that, follow along for part 3.